Hare Krishna. A very warm welcome to all the devotees to our program Srimad Bhagavatam study. In this program, we are doing a detailed study of Srimad Bhagavatam. Right now, we are on second canto, fifth chapter. Already we have taken few classes on fifth chapter, a very technical chapter. So we have taken few classes, 3-4 classes already. Now today is going to be the last class on this chapter, fifth chapter, and we are going to discuss verse number 32 till verse number 42. So there are total 42 verses in this chapter. The title of this chapter is Cause of All Causes. It's practically the whole chapter is a discussion between Brahmaji and his devotee son Narad Muni. It is about the creation of the universe. The title is The Cause of All Causes. Overall, this is our 65th class in total. So we will move to the Mangala Charan. Mangala Charan is by Rakeshji. Please help me.
Jeevan Dada Prabhuji.
Jeevan Prabhuji. Okay. Jeevan Prabhuji, over to you.
Mangalacharna. Om Ajnanatimarandasya Jnana Janasharakaya Sakshururmilatamyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपीश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Very sweetly recited. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Now we move to this recap of the previous class. Just give me 1 second. I'll reorganize the. Yeah. Yes. So we will invite Dr. Ishwar Singh Prabhuji from Rohtak. Dr. Ishwar Singh is a friend of my father. They have been students together in Rohtak Medical College in their college days. And he's a senior oculist. Oculist means the eye specialist. Very nicely settled in Rohtak. His son is also a eye specialist, if I'm correct, Prabhuji.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
So Ishwar Prabhuji has been a very dedicated attendee of our classes by the arrangement of COVID. So that's how we connected, but he's taking very much interest, a lot of interest in the classes. and really look forward to Prabhu's presentation, which is also always done very tastefully and very nicely with a lot of interest. So, Ishwar Prabhuji, please go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Hare Krishna fellow devotees. The subject matter for today's class, as already told by Prabhuji, is about the cause of all causes. It is from chapter 5, canto 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam. As is known to all of us, the subject matter is not that simple. It's little tough, and for the first time I felt screwed up a lot while writing the summary of this chapter. But Prabhuji's class, the class notes have come really very handy for me. But for his class notes, I would not have been able to do much about it. So what I'm going to tell you or saying now is only a rehash of what we all been told on Sunday last. Now, for beginning the recap at the outset, I feel justified in saying that nothing more remains to be known and understood about universe and its variegated essence. Once we know the discussants were none other than the most gifted duo, spiritual duo, the God-ordained creator Brahmaji and his exceptionally devoted Krishna-conscious devotee son Narada Muniji. So what more brain can we expect on a subject like this? And having got that opportunity to learn things from their mouth is really very promising. Now, about the 6 questions asked by Narada, the third question related to the process of creation of the universe, as we all know, is verily the most intricate and confusing to all neophytes. Now, to appreciate the answer from Brahmaji on this subject in a better way, there is a need to revisit some basic spiritual facts. And these spiritual facts that we must always remember are, number one, both the Lord as well as Jivas are eternal spirit souls. There is no fresh creation for either of them. The Lord only re-manifests the Jivas after annihilation. In other words, He is just releasing them afresh in the next creation. That is all we should know about. Then number 2, the very purpose of creation is to rectify the wayward conditional souls and help them retrace their steps back to Godhead. The Lord does so first by creating universe for them and then frustrating them by subjecting them to the modes of material nature. Next, He offers them the Vedic wisdom by providing scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Ramayana, etc., and also sending acharyas, devtas, and also coming himself as an avatar to help in their salvation. The third important point we must also remember to consider is the types of creation. There are 2 types, Sarga, the primary one, and Visarga, the secondary one. Sarga is done by the Lord and Visarga by Brahmaji under Lord's guidance. Sarga involves creating the universe and Visarga involves detailing of the universe in all its colors, hues, and everything. Now, moving on to Sarga, which is also known as primary creation, it is again of 2 types, Krana Srishti and Kriya Srishti. Both are done by the Lord only.
Yeah.
Krana Srishti involves Krana Srishti involves creating the ingredients and Kriya Srishti involves assembly of the ingredients. And armed with this above facts, we are now in a better position to absorb what Brahmaji told Narada on the process of creation. So we start with the learning the nitty-gritty of Yata Srishtam, that is the process of creation, and starting with Krana Shrishti, as evidenced in verses 22 to 31. Number one, it starts with Mahavishnu glancing over Prakriti, and by his glance, he impregnates jivas into Prakriti, the material nature, which hitherto was inactive. It is also called Pradhana in that stage. He first infuses Kala, time, a very powerful energy of Lord himself, then infuses Karma and Swabhava, energies of the Jiva, to activate and convert Prakriti into Mahatattva. Number two, with the mix-up of three modes comes the activated Mahatattva in Sattva, Sutra Tattva in Rajas, and Ahankar Tattva predominantly in Tamas. So these three energies of Ahankara, Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas now provide the necessary ingredients, 23 items, for final creation. Their individual contribution is as under. Number one, goodness provides Jnana Shakti. It also leads to the development of mind and 10 devatas. Passion brings Kriya Shakti. With it comes prana, 10 senses, and intelligence. Ignorance is Dravya Shakti, bringing 5 sense objects, that is Tanmantras, and 5 elements, ether, sky, air, fire, water, and earth. Now, if we condense them and take them verse by verse, I would say verse 22, it mainly states the Lord agitates Prakriti, Mahatattva appears. In verse 23 and 24, it says Mahatattva transforms into Ahankara. Ahankara transforms into 3 types, that is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas Ahankara. Verse 25 says, from Tamasic Ahankara comes sound and ether. Verse 26, from ether comes touch and air. Air holds previous quality of sound as well. Verse 27 states, from air comes form and fire. Touch and sound also exist in fire. Verse 28 mentions, from fire comes taste and water contains form, touch, and sound also. Verse 29 tells us that from water comes smell and earth. Earth contains taste, touch, form, and sound. In verse 30, we know from Ahankara in Sattva comes mind and 10 sense devatas. And lastly, from verse 31, we understand that from Ahankara in Rajas comes prana, 10 senses, and intelligence. Of course, these things are not so easy to comprehend and connect, but whatever I could do from hearing Prabhuji, I have just jotted down and blurted it out. I don't know if I really remember them so nicely as it appears, but thank you so much for giving me your patient hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ishwar Prabhuji. Thanks for your nice presentation. You did a good job. Very nice job. Only one or two places your pronunciation probably could have been a little more improved. Like for example, this is Karana Srishti. Karana means cause. Like in Hindi also we have the word Karan. And then the second one is called Karya Srishti. So in Karana Srishti, we are trying to understand how the ingredients for creation are assembled. And in Karya Srishti, the subject matter of class today, that assembly is done. So how that uh, all the ingredients are mixed together. So that is the main point. But otherwise, most of the points that you have spoken are very nicely done. And really appreciate your sharing your realization that it was not that easy. You really had to force yourself, tax your brain a lot to understand all this. It is because it is a very, I would say, a phenomena which human brain, which human capability uh, cannot, I would say, relate to, because it is about creation done at a very cosmic level, done by Supreme Lord Himself, and the capability of Supreme Lord to manage all these activities really has to be very extraordinary, and extraordinary to that level that tiny human brain actually cannot comprehend it. So your realization, your experience is very natural, and only thing we can understand this little bit is through the revelation that he has himself done through his literature like Srimad Bhagavatam. So that is the only source we can actually understand this very, very complex and a very high level cosmic phenomena of creation. So with that, we continue to go in our class, in our discussion today. So
I have one doubt before we proceed. Can I ask now?
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, yes.
I'm sorry, I could not rise up in the last class because it was a little difficult for me to understand that. See, actually, this Mahatattva in Sattva is there. Mahatattva in also pious, this Rajas is also there. What about the Mahatattva in this one, Tamas? That is my first question. Okay. And again, this Mahatattva transforms into Ahankara. That is Ahankara in goodness, Ahankara in fire. All these things are clear. And finally, we are arriving at 23 components. When Mahatattva is already expanded and all, why Mahatattva and Ahankara is again included in the 23? That is my question. Mahatattva, what happened to the Mahatattva in ignorance? Mahatattva in Sattva is there, it is there. Mahatattva in Rajas also is there, that is Sutra Tattva, that is also given here in the chart there. What is happening to the Mahatattva in Tamas? And also when it expands into Ahankara, again in the 23 component which we have made the list, why that Mahatattva because this one is left. The Tamas is left, it is okay. But Ahankara, why it is included again in the 23 components? That is my, I'm not able to understand that. That's why I thought it will be hard for me to get it clarified if it is this thing.
Yeah.
If I think my doubt is whether genuine, I don't know. But I felt like
doubts are always genuine, Prabhuji. Doubts are always genuine. So don't worry about.
Yeah, that is this thing. Mahatattva in this thing. That is that is Tamasic Mahatattva, and also then Ahankara has already expanded. Then why it is again Ahankara is expanded to goodness for one, and also all these things are converted into various things. The 5 gross element, and then 10 senses plus mind plus this 5 tanmatra, sense object. All these 6 are all clear. But again, why Mahatattva and Ahankara is included into 23? That is my question.
Okay. So maybe we will go one by one. Now, Mahatattva in Sattva, Mahatattva in Rajas. So what is happening is when they are transforming. So everything is transforming one by one. First of all, the material nature is inactive. That is known as Pradhan. And when the
Okay.
Lord glances and impregnates it with Kala, Karma and Swabhava, then that Pradhana becomes activated. And then now it is now called as Mahat Tattva. And as I gave the analogy in the class, that Mahat Tattva in Pradhana stage is something like go down, which has the ingredients, is locked. There is no access. It is inactive. Yeah, it is not. There is no possibility of any creation. But when the Lord glances is like something like unlocking that go down. Now the
Okay.
ingredients are available for creation, and the ingredients are available slowly and gradually. First of all, in the material nature, which is gunamayi, which is with the goodness, passion, and ignorance. First of all, the goodness becomes activated, and then that is called Mahat Tattva in Sattva Guna.
Okay.
Then the Mahat Tattva, then the mode of passion becomes activated. Then it becomes like Sutra Tattva. So,
Okay.
as far as the explanation that I have read, these two phenomena kind of take place simultaneously. So, Mahat Tattva is Mahat Tattva in Sattva, and Sutra Tattva, that is something, special type of Mahat Tattva, that is in Rajas. Now,
Okay.
when the mode of passion also, mode of ignorance also gets activated, then this Mahat Tattva in Sattva and Rajas, then it becomes like Ahankara. Then is Mahat Tattva in mode of ignorance. So you can see, ultimately you can see that everything, then this Ahankara, the Mahat Tattva in Tamoguna actually has three components: goodness, passion, and ignorance. So you can say that everything is Ahankara, but one Ahankara is in goodness, one Ahankara is in passion, and one Ahankara is in ignorance. So it is something like
Actually, I want to intervene now.
hmm.
That means that the Mahatattva in that tamasic Mahatattva that gets converted into Ahankara. Is it like that?
Yeah, Tamasic Mahatattva, another name for it is Ahankara.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Another
Okay.
name,
Right.
they are transforming. They are transforming one after the other. They are transforming. So they are losing their previous nature and then they are transforming into this. So Ahankara means Mahat Tattva in Tamoguna. And then uh, Mahat Tattva in Tamoguna is in goodness, passion, and ignorance. So, for example, we have Pandavas. Now, just for discussion's sake, we have Pandavas. Now, all Pandavas in mode of goodness. But Yudhishthir Maharaj is in more in mode of goodness compared to, say, for example, Bhima. Bhima is in mode of goodness, but there is some Rajoguna is also a little bit added in his behavior. So that is why whenever there is a discussion about whether we should fight or not, Bhima would really become instigated, but Yudhishthir Maharaj is not instigated so much. So Ahankara, Mahat Tattva in mode of ignorance actually is in three types, like goodness, passion, and ignorance. But the point to note here is all the ingredients ultimately are coming from Ahankara only. All the ingredients are coming from Ahankara only. One Ahankara is in goodness, one Ahankara is in passion, one Ahankara is in ignorance. So you should
From
remember
that,
that in
from this particular point, everything is clear, Prabhuji. Only thing is,
yeah.
I mean, all the
Now
other things are all, I
now
mean, I
now
don't
your
want
other
to.
question. Now your other question about 23 elements. Why
Yeah.
Ahankara is included in that?
Yeah. And also
Why?
Mahatattva also is there.
Sorry.
Mahatattva also is there. In 23 element, Mahatattva also is there.
So for that, the similar question was asked by Uddhav ji from Lord Krishna in Uddhav Gita. If you go in 11th canto, Srimad
Oh,
Bhagavatam, uh,
okay.
say how are you counting 26 elements or 23 elements and all that? So that is how the question goes about. Then Lord Krishna says that don't worry about the counting. The counting could be different. You could exclude Ahankara, you could include Ahankara, you can also include Pradhana. Some people also include Jiva Tattva. Some people also include Ishwar Tattva and bring the count to some other number. So ideally, the counting is not so relevant here. People may give different count according to their maybe identifying different elements. But the point is, we understand how all these things are manifesting one by one. The important point here is ahankara. Ahankara actually brings the feeling of doership, karta. Like we have that verse in Bhagavad Gita. Let me open Bhagavad Gita and tell that verse to you. Say, for example, if you read
Ahankara vimoodatma kartanam aham iti
ahankar
manyate.
ahankara vimoodatma kartaham iti manyate. Ahankara vimoodatma. But there is also second line to this verse. Mataji, can you help me?
I am myself struggling. It was something related to Prakriti.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, that is what I wanted to tell here. That all these prakriti kriyamanani,
guna karmani sarvasha.
Guna karmani sarvasha. Prakriti kriyamanani guna karmani sarvasha. Ahankar vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate. Kartaham iti manyate. So in this world, even if you are in mode of goodness, that also bring the feeling of ahankara or a doership. Or if you are in passion, certainly passion and ignorance are certainly not recommended. Even goodness can bring ahankara. Goodness can bring a feeling of karta, the doership. So that is what an important point here to mention, that everything in this material nature is based on this ahankara. I hope that was
Prabhuji, is it like Lord Brahma? Even he is into mode of passion.
No, Brahma.
Otherwise, creation wouldn't happen.
No. Brahma is in charge of mode of passion. Does not mean that he is in mode of passion.
Is not passion.
Okay.
Lord Shiva is in charge of mode of ignorance. Doesn't mean that he is in mode of ignorance. All these great souls are all in mode of goodness, rather pure goodness. Maybe because they are all devotees of the Lord. But they are in charge of mode of passion. They are in charge of mode of ignorance.
But Prabhuji, I do not know. I was thinking like Brahma is supposed to be creator, or at least he is creating. So can one create without being in passion?
Yeah, why not? I mean, people need not be in mode of passion to be creators. What happens in mode of passion, people don't reflect a lot, and they simply start to act without thinking. But does not mean that people who are in mode of goodness does not do the creation.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay. Thank you very much for that question. I hope other devotees are also having some idea of what we have been discussing.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now we will go back to our overview map. So overview map, we are here in this 21st to 35, this particular section. We have already covered 21 to 31, which is Karana Srishti. Karana Srishti means collecting the ingredients or creating the ingredients for the creation of the universes. So we will continue with this discussion from 32nd verse onwards. Now the Karya Srishti. Karya Srishti means assembly of these ingredients will start to happen. So once again, we see this table. We have discussed already question number 1, Yad Rupam, characteristic of the universe. What is the answer? Answer is Vasudev. That all these Kala, Karma, Swabhava, we discussed these 5 elements there. Kala, Karma, Swabhava, and then other 2 are also there. They are all the characteristics of the universe, but ultimately it is all Vasudev. That's what we discussed. It was in the 14th verse. Then we also discussed Yad Adhishthanam and Yad Param. What is the shelter and what it depends upon. So there we discussed it is about Narayan. So that was in 15-16, and 15th. We will have a small discussion about this Yat Adhishthanam and Yat Param in the 6th chapter also. And then question number 4 and question number 6 will all be discussed in chapter number 6. They are not discussed in this chapter. But now we are dealing with this third question. Yatah Shrishtam. How is it created? What is the process of creation? And in process of creation, we have already covered Karana Srishti, how the ingredients are created. And then we are going to discuss today Karya Srishti. So this was the Karana Srishti, 21 to 31. And then today we are going to discuss Karya Srishti. So to differentiate between Karana Srishti and Karya Srishti, I have shared these two pictures here. So here you can see Karana Srishti is all about Lord glancing onto the Prakriti, and then Pradhana becomes activated, becomes Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva becomes transformed into Mahat Tattva in Tamoguna, which is known as Ahankara. And from this Ahankara, all these Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti, all these are manifesting. And from these Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, and Dravya Shakti, we get these different ingredients. Now, what are these ingredients? Like mind, like we have 5 sense objects. We have 5 bhutas, the elements, and then we have intelligence, we have prana, and then we have indriyas, gyan indriyas and karma indriyas, 5 gyan indriyas, 5 karma indriyas. Like that, we have different elements. Now, these elements are individually available. They are not mixed. So we have so much of earth element, we have so much of water element, we have so much of maybe intelligence, we have so much of mind, like that. Now, using these ingredients, the creation now will happen. So this is left-hand side, you see the Karana Srishti, and on the right-hand side, you see Karya Srishti. Karya Srishti, you see, now the different universes are emanating from the Lord's body. And in each of these universes, you will see there is Lord Vishnu in these universes. So now this Karya Srishti will happen. So for Karya Srishti to happen, let us see what Srimad Bhagavatam says from verse number 32 onwards. So once again, we request devotees to kindly volunteer for reciting these verses.
I will be there, Prabhu.
I am there, Prabhu.
Prabhu ji, मैं भी बोल सकता हूँ.
We have Manish Prabhu and we have Rajneesh Prabhu. Manish and Rajneesh. Okay, Prabhuji. So we will give opportunity one by one in the order that you have volunteered. So we'll start with Vrindavaneshwari Mataji. Let me be ready with the Bhagavatam Hindi also. Okay. So Mataji, 32nd verse.
Yeah.
Yes. Yadaite Sangata Bhava.
Yadaite Sangata Bhava.
Bhutendriya Manogunaha.
Bhutendriya Manoguna.
Yadayatan Nirmane.
Yadayatan Nirmane.
Nashekur Brahma Vittama.
Nashekur Brahma Vittama. O Narada, best of the transcendentalists, the forms of the body cannot take place as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and modes of nature, are not assembled.
So, Brahma Vittama. Brahma Vittama is being referred here to Narad Muni. Brahma Vittama. Vittama means a knowledgeable person. Brahma Vittama means a person who is knowledgeable in Brahma. Brahma means transcendental science. So, O Narada, the best of transcendentalists. Brahma Vittama. Na Shekur means it is not possible. It is not possible. Now, why it is not possible and what is really required to make it possible, that is something which is the subject matter of this verse. Yadaite asangata bhava. Yadaite asangata. Asangata. Asangata means These will not be assembled. All these elements will not be assembled. What elements will not be assembled? Bhuta. Bhuta means not ghost. Bhuta here means the five gross elements: earth, water, air, fire, ether. Bhut and Indriya. Indriya means the five Jnanendriyas, five Karmendriyas. Mano. Mano means the mind. Guna means the three modes. So none of these are going to get assembled. Yeah, none of these are going to get Sangata. Sangata means assembled. And how are they going to assemble? As long as they are the forms of the body. Yad ayatana nirmane. Ayatana means bodies. Nirmane means form. So none of these elements like Bhuta, Indriya, Mano, Guna, they cannot get make bodies unless they are assembled. Unless they are assembled, they will not come into as forms like proper bodies and so on. So, O Narada, best of the transcendentalists, Brahmavittama, the forms of the body, Yad Ayatana, cannot take place nirmane as long as these created parts, namely the elements, senses, mind, and the modes of nature, are not assembled. Assembled here, the word assembled is coming here mainly from Sangata. So they are not going to get assembled unless they come together. So like a person has collected ingredients for cooking sambar. He has bhindi, he has muli, he has carrots, he has oil, he has masala, he has stove, he has fire, he has gas cylinder. All the ingredients are there. But unless the cook comes and assemble them together, they are not going to get assembled. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada also, if you read the purport, gives an analogy of car. So car is assembled by using different elements in the car. Maybe we have a steering wheel, we have a seat, we have a chassis, we have a body of the car, we have the engine. So there are different spare parts in the car. Unless these spare parts come together, assembled, and somebody who is intelligent enough, who knows how to assemble them, unless that intelligent person comes and assemble them together, they are not going to come together and make a car. Similarly, all these elements, senses, mind, modes of nature, etc., are not going to form bodies, specific bodies, unless they are assembled together. So that is the message from this verse. So the introduction to Karya Srishti is being given by Brahmaji here. Okay, now we go to the 33rd verse. Tada samhatya chanyonyam.
Tada samhatya chanonyam.
Bhagavad Shakti choditaha.
Bhagavad Shakti chodita.
Sad asatvam upadaya.
Sad asatvam upadaya.
Chobhayam susraja hridaha.
Shobhayam sasrujur yadaha. Thus, when all these became assembled by force of energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this universe certainly came into being by accepting both the primary and secondary causes of creation.
So, tada samhatya. Samhatya means assembling together. Cha anyonyam. Cha anyonyam means one with the other. One element with the other element is assembled together. How it is assembled together? Bhagavad Shakti Chodita. Bhagavad Shakti Chodita. Bhagavad Shakti Chodita means only when the Supreme Lord energy is assembling energy is utilized, then only they come together and become assembled together. So like the bhindi, the oil, the masala, the dal, and the water are not going to mix together automatically by themselves. only when the cook comes and then assemble them together in a proper way, using its intelligence. First of all, they will do some oil, heat up some oil, then maybe put some masala there, then put some vegetable, maybe dal, etc., in a particular manner. Then only this assembly will take place. Similarly, this assembly of creation cannot happen unless there is Bhagavad Shakti. Without Bhagavad Shakti, this assembly cannot take place. And then Sad Asatvam Upadaya. Sad Asatvam Upadaya actually means, Upadaya means all these elements except these two forms, Sad and Asat. Sad Asat actually here means primary creation and secondary creation. Now, what primary creation and secondary creation mean here is clarified in Prabhupada's purport. So, in the purport, if you read the last paragraph here, then here it is mentioned that there are two types of creations. Even in this material creation, the two type of creation. One is the collective creation and one is the individual creation. Collective creation means, like for example, we have the collective universe, Brahmanda. There are in Brahmanda there are so many other different planets, and then in one single Brahmanda, then collecting many Brahmandas together, and then in individual Brahmandas creating individual Brahmandas. So that is something which is meant by primary creation and secondary creation. So like this, we understand this particular verse. So we go to the next one, 34th one. Lord's entrance. Please read. Varsha Puga Sahasrante.
Varsha Punga Sahasrante.
Tadandam Udakeshayam.
Tadandam Udakeshayam.
Kalakarma Swabhavastho.
Kalakarma Swabhavastho.
Jivo Jivam Ajivayat.
Jivo Jivam Ajivayat. Thus, all the universes remained thousands of eons within the water, the causal ocean. The Lord and the Lord of living beings, entering in each of them, caused them to be fully animated.
So, Varsha Puga Sahasrante. Varsha Puga Sahasrante. Sahasra means thousands. Varsha Puga Sahasrante. Now, once the cook has come and he has started to prepare sambar. Now, it does not mean that the moment the cook comes and he assembles everything, the sambar is ready. The sambar will take some time, maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes to cook, to heat, boil, to let everything mix together well. The masalas mix together well, and the vegetable actually cook well. So everything will take some time. So similarly, this assembly of various ingredients also takes some time. Varsha Puga Sahasrante. Tad andam udake shayam. Udake shayam. Shayam actually means the Lord. All these Brahmandas, which were kind of in the causal ocean, they were there in that causal ocean water for thousands of years. Like we have bhindi, etc., boiling in the water for some time, something maybe you can consider like this. The universes remained thousands of eons within the water, the causal ocean. And the Lord of living beings, entered in each of them, caused them to be fully animated. So, Kala Karma Swabhavastho. Jivo Jivam Ajivayat. This is a little tricky Sanskrit here. Kala Karma Swabhavastho. Jivo Jivam Ajivayat. So, what is the meaning of the word Jiva here? What is the meaning of word Jiva here? The meaning of the word Jiva actually here is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Garbhodakshai Vishnu, who is having Kala, Karma and Swabhava. So typically when we read this line, Kala, Karma and Swabhava, we might think that it is actually referring here to some living entity. And when it is followed by the word jiva, because karma and swabhava is the characteristic of the jiva. So, and then when we see this word jiva here, we may become confused that the word jiva probably is being used here for the living entity. But no, it is not being used here for living entity. It is actually here being used for the Supreme Lord, the Purusha Avatara. And this Purusha Avatara is Garbhodakshai Vishnu. So till now we have been talking about Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu has glanced, and now he has created these universes. These universes are floating in the Karana ocean, but these universes are like dead matter. They are something like lifeless. There is no life in these Brahmandas which are floating in these Karana ocean. But when this Mahavishnu, in the form of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, enters into these Brahmandas, then they become a Jivayat. A Jivayat they become lively. They become lively. Jivo, a Jivam, Jivo, Jivam, a Jivayat. So, Jiva here means the Purushavatara, means Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Ajivam means, here the word Ajivam means lifeless, and Ajivayat. Ajivayat means they become lifeful, they become animated. At once they become animated. So now people might question that how can you translate Jiva into the Supreme Lord? So it is not difficult to understand that Supreme, here the word Jiva actually means one who has Jivan, one who has life, one who has consciousness. And at the time of creation, the only person who is available, the only living entity available is the Supreme Lord. There's no other living entity. All other living entities are hibernating. They are in the sleep mode. They are not kind of active at the moment. So the only living entity available is the Supreme Lord. So Prabhupada also clarifies this point in the purport that here the Supreme Lord is known as Jiva. And why? And he's translating the word Jiva as the Lord of living beings. So the Lord of living beings is also a living being. He's the supreme living being. So that is how this translation is given here for Jiva. The translation becomes even more clearer if you go to the next verse, where it becomes very clear. When we read the Sanskrit, it will become even more clear. So Kala Karma Swabhava. Now what does this Kala Karma Swabhava means? So certainly we understand Kala is the energy of the Lord. So there is no doubt about it. But the Lord also has a karma. Lord also has a swabhava. Karma here does not mean that he has karma phala or the karmic reactions. But Lord has some action to do. So that is what is known as karma here. And swabhava. Swabhava means Lord also has a nature. So kala karma swabhavastho jivo jivam ajivayat. So the Lord, which is situated in kala karma and swabhava, enters into these planets, enters into these lokas, and make them ajivayat. Ajivayat means they animate, they fully become animate. So that is the meaning of this verse. Now here I would like to draw your attention to the Kunti Maharani's prayer that we have been reading recently in our shloka memorization classes. Here, if you remember, Kunti Maharani calls the Lord as Vishwa Atma. Vishwa Atma. And here we can see how that Vishwa Atma, the meaning of that word Vishwa Atma becomes very clear here. Jivo, Jivam, Ajivayat. So when the Lord enters into these planets, he becomes like an Atma of this of these planets, of these lokas, of these universes. And then once he enters into these planets, it becomes very lively. So Vishwa Atma means he's the soul of the universe. So it is becoming very, very clear from this specific verse number 34.
In the 10th chapter also, Bhagavan says, Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu.
Sarva Bhuteshu, right? Bhuteshu means the living entities.
Yes.
Here we are talking about material universes, which is made up of dead matter. So the Lord actually is not only the Jivan of the Bhuteshus, but he is also the Jivan of the universes, material universes.
Dead matter.
Right? So this is the inferior Prakriti of the Lord. And
Yes.
even in the atoms also, if you see the whole universe around us, everything is stable. Everything is not falling apart. It is mainly because the Lord is inside them. So the atom is inside it. He's inside even in the atom also. So to that
Yes.
detail, the Lord has the control over this material universe.
Yes.
Okay. So now we move to the, sometimes we figure out, we wonder why this earth is revolving around the sun.
Yeah.
What makes it animate? So maybe
Yes.
this is the answer. That is how it
Yes.
becomes animated.
Yes. Very happy, sir.
Right.
Clear.
So yeah, now we go to Manish ji for reading these verses.
Yes, Prabhu.
So 35th verse, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Sa eva purushastasmat
Sa eva purushastasmad
andam nirbhidya nirgataha
andam nirbidya nirgitaha
sahassorva angri bhav akshaha
sahasro angri bahu aksha
sahasranana shirshavan.
sahasranana shirsavan. The Lord Mahavishnu, although lying in the casual ocean, came out of it and dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Rupa with thousands of legs, arms, mouth, head, etc.
Sa eva purushastasmat. So as I was mentioning to you, here it is clear. Sa eva. Sa means that. Purushas, sa eva purushas. Here it is being again referred to as Purusha. In the previous verse, he was mentioned here, Jivo Jivam Ajivayat. But if there is any doubt remaining, who is this Jiva? Then it is cleared in 35th verse. Sa eva Purusha Tasmad. Sa eva Purusha Tasmad. Andam Nirbhitya Nirgataha. Andam Nirbhitya Nirgataha. So he enters, he comes out of his causal ocean and then dividing himself as Hiranyagarbha, Nirbhitya. Nirbhitya actually means here dividing himself. And Nirgataha. Nirgataha means coming out from the causal ocean. So coming out of the causal ocean, he divides himself into multiple forms of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then he entered into each universe, assumed the Virat Roop with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. So, Sahasrorva, Angri, Bahava, Akshaha, Sahasra Anana, Shirshavan. So, you might have remembered the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Arjun desired to see the universal form of the Lord. And when the Lord displayed his universal form, what did Arjuna said? Arjuna said that I see no end to this form. There are thousands of faces, there are thousands of arms, there are thousands of legs, there are thousands of mouths, there are thousands of this, there are thousands of that. So that is how Arjun starts to describe that Virat Roop of the Lord. So a similar Virat Roop, he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Roop with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. So in the chapter 1 of Srimad Bhagavatam also we have read this description of Virat Roop, and we understood that that all the form of the Lord, uh, all this creation is actually material in nature. All this creation is in material in nature. But this Virat Roop form of the Lord is something like which is a material form. It is not a spiritual form like we have Sham Sundar form of the Lord in the spiritual world with two-arm form playing flute, etc. That is a spiritual form. But this is a material form. But this material form is being described here mainly to facilitate our understanding that everything actually in this universe is coming from the Lord himself. This material form is not spiritual in nature. This is material in nature, but and also this form is imaginary in nature. Imaginary in nature. Imaginary in nature means that people who have difficulty understanding the spiritual nature of the Lord, they are told about this universal form of the Lord or the Virat Roop of the Lord, that you need to perceive this universe as the form of the Lord. The mountains are this part of the body of the Lord, the rivers are this part of the body of the Lord, like that. So if these kind of people meditate upon the universal form in this way, then they progress further in their spiritual journey. So for those people, this Virat Roop is typically explained like that. So now he entered into each universe and assumed the Virat Roop with thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Now the Sanskrit here is clear. Sahasra Urva. Urva means the legs. Sorry, Urva actually means the thighs. The Angri means the legs. Bahava means the arms. Aksha means the eyes. Or Aksha could also mean the face. Sorry, Aksha would mean eyes. Sahasra Anand. Anand means the face. And Shirsha means the head. So like this, this is being explained here. Ultimately, what the verse is trying to say, that the Lord came out from his causal ocean, and the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu entered into each of these universe and assumed this Virat Roop. Now, is this Virat Roop finite or infinite? Is this Virat Roop finite or infinite? Like Arjuna said in his prayers, I see no end. I see no beginning, no end. So is it really correct that this Virat Roop does not have any beginning or end? Or does it have a beginning or end?
It has beginning from the Lord.
Is that it has beginning and end or not?
And I do not know. But beginning is
Virat
like
Roop.
it's, yeah, the form of the Virat Roop actually originated from Krishna himself. So there is beginning.
But now we see, now what the Arjun was seeing, that Virat Roop all around him, he was saying that it has no beginning or no end. So is it really true? Is it really true that it has no beginning or end? Are these Brahmandas, the universes are being formed, are they finite or infinite?
There is an end. Because after all, the Brahmanda goes and gets annihilated within Vishnu only.
Yeah, so these are material nature, so they have some physical beginning and physical end. But it is so big that when Arjun was observing these Virat Roop form of the Lord, he was saying that it has no beginning or no end. But actually, the Virat Roop has the same dimension as the universe. So the universe is being perceived as being imagined in the shape of the form of the Lord. So like that. Okay. Maniji, we will read 36.
Yes.
Yassehav yavairlokan.
Yashehavanarverlokan
Kalpayanti manishinaha.
Kalpayanti manishina
Katyadhibhiradha sapta.
Katyadhir adhaya sapta
Saptordhvam jaganadibhihi.
Saptodhvam jaganadhibhi. Great philosophers. Yes, Prabhu, you are saying something?
No, please go ahead.
Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary systems in the universe are displays of different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord.
Now you will see that the description of the previous section has ended here in the 35th verse. Brahma answers Yatah Shrishtam. So Yatah Shrishtam, Karya Srishti, how does the Karya Srishti happens? The Karya Srishti happens when the Lord enters into each of these universes. Because of the Bhagavat Shakti Choditaha, what happens? All of these elements combine together. When they combine together, then the material universes are created. They remain in the causal ocean for thousands of years, as if the sambar is cooking and the universes are getting cooked up in that causal ocean. And then the Lord makes them animated by entering into these universes. So this is the end of the end of the Karya Srishti. So I hope you understand what is Karya Srishti. And now, when the Lord enters into it, Bhagavatam says he assumes a Virat roop. He assumes a Virat roop, which has thousands of legs, arms, mouths, heads, etc. Now, from here onwards, 36th verse onwards, the description of Virat roop or universal form of the Lord has been described in this chapter of Bhagavatam. We have discussed this Virat roop earlier also, and the description is very similar here also. There are few important and interesting words that are used in this particular verse. First of all, we will go little one by understanding these lines. Yasye hava yavair lokan kalpayanti manishinaha. Manishinaha actually means learned people, great philosophers. Kalpayanti. Kalpayanti means imagine. So this Virat Roop form actually is not a actual form. It's not something like as real as the spiritual form of the Lord. But it is a kalpana. It is a imagination. But it is a bona fide imagination. It is a imagination which has worth doing, which has a spiritual benefit for those people who don't believe in the spiritual form of the Lord, or which have difficulty understanding, thinking beyond this material universe. So there might be people who only believe that whatever we see, whatever we perceive through our senses, we will only accept that. Anything beyond this, we don't accept. We don't believe. So for such people, in order to bring them close to the Supreme Lord, this Virat Roop form is there, which is a Kalpayanti, which is the imagination. So, so that the complete planetary system in the universe are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Yasya eva avayavai lokan. Avayavai means what are the different avayava? Avayava means different limbs of the body of the Lord. So whatever we see in this universe actually are the displays of the different bodily limbs of the Lord. So this is the Kalpayanti. Great philosophers imagine that the complete planetary system in the universes are displays of the different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. So Katya, Adibhir, Adha Sapta. Adha means lower. Adha means lower. Sapta means seven. Sapta means seven. Katya means Kati Prant. Kati Prant means the region of the body which is below the back. Kamar जिसको बोलते हैं ना हिंदी में कमर. So this is Katya. Kati. कमर के नीचे. Katya Adibhir. So कमर के नीचे Adha Sapta. So there are 7 planets below the region of the Kati, and Sapta Urdhvam. Jaghanadibihi. So Urdhvam. So above this Kati Prant, Sapta Urdhvam. So there are 7 above the back and there are 7 below the back. So displays of different upper and lower limbs of the universal body of the Lord. Now the description of the universal body of the Lord is given. So mainly the important word in this verse is Kalpayanti. Kalpayanti Manishina. So this is an imaginary form of the Lord, but it is a bona fide imagination. It has a spiritual significance, specifically for those people who have difficulty perceiving the spiritual form of the Lord, or who are difficulty thinking beyond this material universe, like that. Okay, now we go to the 37th verse. Now you will see that different descriptions from 37th verse onwards will be given, and everything will be related to the universal form of the Lord. Now, how do we understand this? The way we need to understand these things is that although this universal form of the Lord is imaginary, but when we say that, for example, in this verse, we are going to study that different Varna systems are actually part of the body of the Lord. We need to understand that everything is coming from the Lord himself. Now, first of all, let us read this verse. Manish ji.
Yes, Prabhu.
Purushasya mukham brahma.
Purushasya mukham brahma.
Kshatram etasya bahavaha.
Kshatram etasya bahavaha.
Urvorvaishyo bhagavataha.
Urvarvaisho bhagavataha.
Padabhyam shudro vyajayat.
Padabhyam shudra vajayat. The Brahmanas represent his mouth, the Kshatriyas his arms, the Vaishyas his thighs, and the Shudras are born of his legs.
Right. So, now, in the previous verse, the universal form or the Virat Roop has been described. It has face, it has belly, it has legs, it has hands, and so on. Now, the description goes a little further that different varnas actually come from different parts of the different bodily parts of the Lord. Brahmanas come from where? Brahmanas come from mukha, from the mouth. Kshatram etasya bahava. The Kshatriyas come from the arms. Bahava means arms. Urvor Vaishya Bhagavataha. The Vaishyas come from the Urva. Urva means the thighs. And Padbhyam Shudro Vyajayat. Shudras are born from the legs. So ultimately, everything is now being related with the body of the Lord. The Brahmanas are coming from the mouth. The Kshatriyas are coming from the arms. The Vaishyas are coming from the thighs. The Shudras are coming from the legs. So, is it, again, it is a imagination, kalpitaha. It is a imagination, it is a kalpana, that Brahmanas are coming from the mouth, the Kshatriyas are coming from the arms. But these kalpana, what does this kalpana is trying to indicate? This kalpana is trying to indicate that ultimately everything is coming from the Lord. So the Lord is very much part of the material creation. It is actually part of each and everything that we see in the material creation. Even the Varnashram system that we see has been given by the Lord himself. Like in Bhagavad Gita, we study Chatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam. Lord Krishna says, Chatur Varnam Maya Shrishtam. So the same thing has been explained here by telling that actually the Brahmanas come from the face of the Virat Roop. The Kshatriyas come from the arms of the Virat Roop. The Shudras come from the legs of the Virat Roop. Vaishyas come from the thighs of the Virat Roop. Like that. So there is a little significance from these bodily parts also. For example, when we say Brahmanas come from the face, so what is the important function of the Brahmana? The face is used mainly for speaking. The face is also used mainly for eating, etc. So the Brahmanas are supposed to speak spiritual knowledge. Similarly, the Brahmanas are also supposed to eat the remnants of the Yajna sacrifices. So the Brahmanas are supposed to eat that remnants of the Yajna sacrifice. Kshatriyas have been compared with the arms. So the Kshatriya function in the society is mainly to protect. Similarly, the Vaishyas are compared mainly to the middle portion of the body of the Lord, like the belly, or maybe here it is compared with the thighs, but it is mainly compared with the middle portion, which is mainly to the stability to the society by providing for the food grains, etc., by doing some commercial activities and so on. Similarly, the Shudras, which are not very capable of doing or providing any spiritual guidance or maybe administrative service or maybe commercial activity. So these kind of people are mainly supposed to support the other varnas. And that's how this whole system has been created. So the point here is that comparing these four varnas to the body of the Lord means that if these four varnas act nicely in the society, like for the well-being of the body, every part of the body has to be properly aligned. The head has to do its function, the arms has to do its function, the other part of the body like legs and belly also has to do their function. Then only we can create a good, nice society. Similarly, if all these four varnas act properly, then a nice society can be created. Other important part is that Brahmanas have been compared to the face. And say, for example, Shudras have been compared to the legs. So also a significance has been given to the Brahmanas. So although both are equally important for the functioning of the body, but the face has a more important role to play because it has the role for guidance, etc. So it has been given more prominence. So in the body, if the leg is cut, still the society can survive. Still the body can survive. But if the head is cut, the body cannot survive. The body actually will become very. The body will die. It will end. So this relative comparison also actually means giving some importance to the Brahmanical class of people who are mainly associated with disseminating spiritual knowledge to the society at large. And because the Lord's whole objective is mainly to uplift the society in terms of spiritual knowledge, so the role of Brahmanas is very, very important. So like this, you can understand that Virat Rupa is an imaginary form, and now different ways of comparing this Virat Rupa or different ways of explaining different things through this bodily form of the Lord. But the main message to signify all this is that everything actually has come from the Lord. So in the similar light, we will read the next verse also. And now I will invite Rajneesh ji to do the recitation. So Rajneesh ji, please read with me. Are you there? Yes, Rajneesh ji is there.
In terms of middle and upper planetary systems,
Yeah. Please repeat with me. Bhurloka kalpita padbhyam.
Bhurloka kalpita padbhyam.
Bhuvarlokosya nabhitaha.
Bhuvarlokosya nabhitaha.
Hridasvarloko urusa.
Hridasvarloka urasa.
Maharloko mahatmanaha.
Maharloko mahatmanaha. The lower planetary systems, up to the limit of the earthly spectrum, are said to be situated in his legs. The middle planetary systems, beginning from Bhuvarlok, are situated in his navel, and the still higher planetary systems occupied by the demigods and highly cultured sages and saints are situated in the chest of his Lord.
Yes. So, as I was mentioning to in the previous verse, there is a comparison of Varna system with the body or the Virat Rupa body of the Lord. Similarly, in this 30th verse, the planetary system, the 14 planets that are there in a universe, that are also compared with the body of the Lord. And how they are compared? Bhurloka kalpita padbhyam. Bhurloka. Bhurloka means the earthly planet. Now, I have given a picture here, and you can see here Bhurloka, earth. So, below that, actually it is known as Padbhyam, are said to be situated in his legs. So below Bhurloka, there are legs of the Supreme Lord. So in the body of the Virat Rupa, the legs actually represent the lower planetary system, which is known as Bhurloka. Then Bhuvarloka. Bhuvarlokasya nabhitaha. Bhuvarlokasya nabhitaha. So if you see here, above Bhurloka, there is Bhuvarloka. So Bhuvarloka is considered to be around the navel. That is the middle planetary system, Bhuvarloka. And then Hrida Swarloka Ursa and Maharloko Mahatmanaha. So Swarloka is actually the Swargalok. So if you see here above Bhuvarlok, there is Swargalok. Here I'm moving my pointer here. There is Swargalok. So Swargalok, and above Swargalok is Maharlok. So Swargalok is considered to be situated near the heart, and Maharlok is considered to be situated near the chest. Ursa is chest. So like this, again the comparison has been given of the lower planetary system, above the middle planetary system, and the above planetary system. So like that. Now we go to the 39th verse. Again the description. Now here the description will be given for the upper planetary system. So in the previous verse, you will see Bhurloka, below Bhurloka has been mentioned. And then above Bhurloka, middle planetary system, and few other planets of the upper planetary system has been given. Now the upper planetary system will be completed here. Grivayam Janalokosya
Grivayam Janlokasya
Apolokastanadvayat
Apoloka Sanatan Natantya
Murdhabhi Satyalokastu
Murdhavi Satyalokastu
Brahmalokaha Sanatanaha.
Brahmaloka Sanatana.
Hmm.
From the
Yes.
forefront of the chest up to the neck of the universal form of the Lord are situated the planetary systems named Janaloka and Tapaloka, Gyanloka, Tapaloka, whereas Satyaloka, the topmost planetary system, is situated on the head of the form. The spiritual planets, however, are eternal.
So you see here Janaloka. So above Maharloka you see Janaloka, and then Tapoloka, and then Satyaloka. So again the different bodily parts has been compared. So Janaloka has been compared with Griva. Griva means neck. Tapoloka has been compared with Stana. Stana means the chest region below the neck. Around the neck is chest. And Murdhabhi. Murdhabhi Satyaloka is compared with the head, like that, on the head. So Brahmaloka Sanatanaha. So here Brahmaloka Sanatana. Now here people may get confused with Brahmaloka to be the abode of Lord Brahma. But here the word Brahma actually means the spiritual world. So all the spiritual planets are actually situated above these 14 lokas. So there is a universal material universe. Above the material universe, there is Brahma Jyoti, and then above Brahma Jyoti, all these above spiritual planets like Goloka, etc., they are situated above. So the spiritual planets, however, are eternal, Sanatana. So the material universe is not Sanatana; it is temporary, it is destructible. But Brahmaloka, which is the spiritual planet, they are all Sanatana. So Prabhupada in the purport also give differences between what is the spiritual world and what is the material world. So material world has two features. It has duality and it is temporary. While the spiritual world is non-dual, it has only one feature, which is Brahma, and then it is eternal. So that is how we can differentiate between spiritual world and material world. What do you mean by duality? Duality means that in the material world we have spirit and we have matter. But in the spiritual world, we only have spirit. We only have spirit. So because in the material world we have spirit and matter, we have duality. We have happiness, we have distress, and like that. It is only because it is a combination of matter and spirit. But in spiritual world, everything is spiritual. Everything is pure. There is no contamination of matter. So everything is happy. Everything is very, very blissful, like that. So, and the second quality is that material world is temporary and spiritual world is eternal. So that is how it is being mentioned here as Sanatana. The spiritual planets, however, are Sanatana, like that in the last line it is given. Okay. Now we move to the 40th and 41st verse. Now, let me not read these verses, but give you again the further explanation that so far the lower planetary system has been mentioned in the previous verses as part of the legs of the Lord. Now here the names of these lower planetary system has been given. So Atala. Atala means Katyam. Katyam means the region of the body which is known as the back. The backbone, like that. Let me open that table. Katyam. So Atala is waist, near the waist. Uru, Vitala. The second planet in the lower planetary system is Vitala. Vitala is thighs, Uru. And then Sutala. Sutala is Janu. Janu means the knees. Then Talatala. Talatala means Jangha. Jangha means this calves. And then Mahatala is Gulphabhyam. Gulphabhyam means ankles. And then Parapadabhyam, Rasatala. Rasatala means the feet of the Lord, but the upper part of the feet. So like we have a feet, we have upper part of the feet, and then we have the sole. So Patala is the upper part of the feet of the Lord. And Patala is Padatalata. Padatalata means it is the sole of the feet. So like this, 7 planets, starting from Atala, Vitala, Sutala, all the way to Patala, these are the lower planetary system of the universe. So this is covered in 40 and 41. And now we come to the last verse of this chapter. This is another imagination, which is again classifying these 3 lokas into 3 categories. One is the lower planetary system, one is the middle one, and one is the upper planetary system. So Prabhuji, if you can read only the translation, we will not go into the Sanskrit here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Others may divide the whole planetary system into 3 divisions, namely the lower planetary system on the legs up to the earth, the middle planetary system on the navel, and the upper planetary system, Swarloka, from the chest to the head of the Supreme Personality.
Yes. So again, I would repeat, all these description of Virat Roop has been given. It is kind of a repetition from the first chapter. But the point is, the universe has been created. The Lord has entered into the universe and assumed her Virat Roop form. And the description of Virat Roop form has been given. Few things we need to remember, that this is a Kalpita. This is an imaginary form. This is a material form. But this Kalpana is not bogus. This is a bona fide Kalpana because it has a spiritual significance. And if you relate it with the 14th verse in this chapter where Yad Rupam has been answered, what is the characteristic of this universe? It is mentioned that everything that has come in this universe is from the Lord. It is Vasudeva. So if you think everything in this universe in relation with the Lord, then that thing actually becomes spiritual in nature. So in that sense, you can consider that to be part and parcel of the Lord only. It is the Lord's energy only. So energy and energetic are same. There is no difference between energy and the energetic. Like that, Gurloka is the lower planetary system. Varloka is the middle planetary system, which is near the Nabhi. And Swarloka is the upper planetary system, which is near the Murdhana. Murdhana means the chest part. Gurloka is Padabhyam. Padabhyam means the lower planetary system, like the legs. So like that, this description of the creation in chapter number 5 is complete, but a very similar description will continue in chapter 6 also. So we continue with our discussion on chapter 6 from the next class onwards. I will now be starting the process of putting together the quiz for chapter 1 till chapter 5. And as soon as I get time, I will issue the quiz. So please wait for the quiz, and we will try to engage you in the next class, either in a discussion of the next part of the Srimad Bhagavatam, or we might take a break. We might read something from an interesting book, maybe some Krishna Leela, to enliven ourselves with some rasa also, with some emotional connection with the Lord through his very nice Leelas. So we can also do that. So that will give me some time to prepare the quiz also. Otherwise, don't get much time. So with that, we complete this discussion. I have also summarized all these things into a form of a table. The table is also available in Subodhini by Gaurang Darshan Prabhu. It's the same table. So you can see that, refer that for your further reading. So with that, we complete our discussion today. All glories to Srimad Bhagavatam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Any comments, questions, we can discuss now. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Prabhuji, one thing I want to ask, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu.
So now we say that from Mahavishnu, this all Mahatattva and then Garbhodakshay Vishnu, all these Brahmandas are born, correct?
Yeah, so Mahavishnu, yes, everything actually the Lord orchestrates. So yeah, so when the annihilation takes place, then all the material universes, everything actually annihilates into the Lord's body. But when the Lord glances upon this material nature, then everything becomes animate and all the ingredients actually manifest.
But where is that Brahma is also born, correct, from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu? So when this happens, means now whatever we have discussed, this is also true for Brahmaji also?
Yeah. So far we have done only Sarga, primary creation.
Okay, okay.
So in primary creation, uh, the story only goes to that far that universes have been created and the Lord has entered into the universes. And now Brahmaji will come into action. That is Visarga. Now when the Garbhodak, now the so we have understood that Garbhodaksha Vishnu has entered into the universes.
Correct.
Now when he enters into the universes, he will find everything empty. So he will fill all these universes, all these Brahmandas with his own perspiration and will lie down on that ocean of his perspiration. And then from his navel will then sprout the lotus on which Brahmaji will born. So all this is going to unfold in the coming chapters for you.
Okay, Prabhu. Okay.
So you are asking the story of the picture, which has yet not displayed to you.
No, means when this all description came about thigh, high, legs of from who is born from here, Brahmana, Kshatriya, and all these things. So I was just imagining. So where does this Brahmaji also? So that this is all before that what we are talking about.
Yeah. No. So this is Virat Rupa of the Lord. This has nothing to do with the Garbhodaksha Vishnu.
Okay.
It is, as I mentioned, it is an imaginary form, Kalpitaha.
So it is the same form which we also learned in Bhagavad Gita, correct? Chapter when Arjuna looks at this Virat form, which is not very pleasant. It has all these kinds of maybe different roops. Some are of demon, some are of something. मतलब अलग-अलग कुछ face था उनका जिसे he was quite afraid.
That Virat Roop, which is an imaginary form, actually the Lord displayed that form before Arjuna.
Okay.
Because Arjuna desired to see that Virat Roop.
So it is the same we are talking about, correct? Bhagavad Gita's Virat Roop only we are reflecting here.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah. So here we are reading about how the Virat Roop is taking place, taking shape. Arjuna saw what was already existing, or maybe not existing. I mean, because it is an imaginary form, the Lord actually displayed that film to him, projected his Virat Roop form all over the place. So he saw that. Yeah.
Here we are talking how it came into existence. That is what we are talking here.
Yeah. So that is what we are studying, that the Lord entered and assumed a Virat Roop. And that is, in the next word, it is clarified that it is a Kalpita. Manishina. It is a Kalpita.
Very clear.
Prabhuji, yeah.
Yes.
So, I mean, these are all very difficult subject matter, not very
correct, Prabhu.
easy to comprehend. I'm trying my best because, again, I mean, I understand it is not.
Very true. This last chapter or ये chapter थोड़ा सा मतलब समझने में थोड़ा सा issue हो रहा है, but yes, so now we are taking your whatever answers and trying to relate it accordingly.
So we have to understand to whatever best possible available commentaries of the acharyas is there. To some extent, they might make some sense. Like, for example, we try to explain you the elements, how they come. From sound comes ether, from ether comes something else, and form, and then maybe air, like that, or touch and air, and then we comes form and then fire, and then comes taste and water, and then comes smell and earth. So some logic we can make out. Like, for example, the air has all the qualities of sound, touch, form, and then taste and smell. But water does not have the quality of smell. Water has the quality of taste. So all those little different things we can make out. Similarly, we can make out like ahankar actually means doership mentality, and all these ahankar, all these modes are actually ahankar only in different forms. Mode of goodness is also ahankar, mode of passion is also ahankar, deeper ahankar, mode of ignorance is even more deeper ahankar, like that. So some logic, some sense we can make out. But you
Yeah.
ask me, how does this mind looks like? How does this intelligence looks like? It is an ingredient. So that is something, these are all subtle ingredients. These are not very gross ingredients like we have been experienced in this life. So we have to understand them a little more from the description of the Shastras and so on. Our intelligence can explain them only to a limit.
Mm. Now we also think the God has also taken a lot of time to create all these things.
Thousands of years,
Yeah,
right? Our
thousands
dosa
of years,
makes
correct.
dosa can be made in maybe 5 minutes, but creation takes place for example, so long, thousands of years.
Correct,
It is
correct.
cooking. It is cooking, isn't it?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yes. Okay.
So,
So
Prabhuji,
next,
should we understand?
yes,
Should we understand that whatever description of the universe has been given to us, like in the form of Bhurloka, Bhuvarloka, that all is also Kalpataha. That is also, मतलब आप उसको definitely कह नहीं सकते कि
so
this
that
is
is not
the
kalpita.
real
That is
shape.
not kalpita. That is not kalpita. That is actually physically existing. And if you read Srila Prabhupada's purport, he has given some figures also. He has given figures like the universe is actually 200 crore square miles. The dimension of this universe is 200 crore square miles. And our spaceships can only go as far as few thousand miles. So in 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the distances between these various planetary systems is also given. In the Bhagavatam cosmology, the distances are given. How far is Satyaloka? How far is this Janaloka and all that? So it is a very elaborate, even more technical subject matter from Srimad Bhagavatam. The full cosmology has been given in the 5th canto.
Yeah.
So these are not, these planetary systems or these different 14 lokas, they are not imaginary. They are physically existing as far as Bhagavatam is concerned. And there is a definite distance between these things and so on. Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhuji, one more question. In verse 33, you were explaining something about Sad Asatvam Upadaya. Can you kindly please explain?
I also had difficulty understanding this Sad Asat. And my best explanation to that Sad Asat is Srila Prabhupada's purport. In verse number 33, if you read Srila Prabhupada's purport's last part, Sad Asat Tvam Upadaya. Sad Asat means Mulataha and Gaunataha. Mulataha means primary, Gaunataha means secondary in English translation. And Prabhupada's purport mentions that भौतिक सृष्टि दो प्रकार की है, महाविष्णु द्वारा सामूहिक ब्रह्मांडों की सृष्टि जैसा कि ऊपर बताया गया है, तथा एकाकी ब्रह्मांड की सृष्टि. सामूहिक ब्रह्मांड की सृष्टि means all the universes together. So that is primary creation. And then individual brahmanda, that is secondary creation. Now I am also not very clear about the difference between the two, but that is how at best I can explain you at the moment.
Okay. So जो individual ब्रह्मांडा है उसी को कल्पताह फॉर्म बता रहे हैं ना?
नहीं, कल्पिता is विराट रूप form. That is कल्पिता.
अच्छा.
The brahmanda is perceived as the body of the Lord.
तो वो individual नहीं है, it is collective.
Brahmanda is the individual Brahmanda, the Lord enters into individual Brahmandas. Like if you go to that particular verse where he says that he divides into many and then enters into each of these universes. So, and assumes a form which has thousands of legs, thousands of hands, thousands of faces, thousands of mouths, like that. So that in individual Brahmanda, the Brahmanda is perceived as a body, as a human, body, like that. So that has been mentioned like that, and that is an imaginary form. That is a kalpita form.
Yes.
So in that Brahmanda, if you see the lower planetary system, they are something like legs of the body.
Yes.
If you see Satyaloka, that is something like a head of that body.
Head of it. Yes.
If you see the Maharloka, Swarloka, that is something like a chest of that body.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then, because it's an imaginary form, there are more things. Because in this universe, we will find that different varnas will come. So the Brahmanas have come from the mouth, the Kshatriyas have come from the arms. So that is something like maybe indicating something. The Brahmana has some function, the Kshatriyas has something other function like that.
Right. Right.
Something like maybe an analogy given. But the idea is that generally in the scriptural or in the spiritual transcendental science, there is a discipline to understand everything. We understand things based on the commentaries, commentaries of the acharyas, based on the text of the scriptures. So we are discouraged to imagine something. In scriptural learning, we are discouraged to imagine something. But here is an imagination which is a bona fide imagination.
Okay.
As the Bhagavatam itself says, it is kalpitam by Manishinas, by some great philosophers. So great philosophers are imagining something. Okay, this universe is something like a body. The legs are like this, the hands are like this, and so on. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question? So it is not that straightforward. It is not very juicy subject matter. But the point is, it is complex because it is complex. The creation is very complex, and somebody like a capable person like a Supreme Lord himself can handle this complex process of creation.
Prabhuji, next summary class, who is the...
You are the...
correct. Just wanted to confirm. Okay.
You are the lucky one who has to summarize this. Summarize this Virat Roop form and everything. So you will have the similar emotional, I would say, trauma like Ishwara Prabhu had summarizing this particular previous class. So all the best.
We will try our best, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So any other point? Any other question? Okay. So if no questions, I hope you had developed a good understanding, relatively better understanding than before. I'm not saying I'm not the best one to explain all these subject matter. There are maybe with more experience, with more reading and so on, we might be able to explain it better. But whatever it is, as a starting point, probably good understanding of whatever we have discussed today. The chapter would not be so alien to you as it was before, if you would have done it on your own. But now maybe with some explanation, some description, it has some meaning for you. So with that, we conclude our session today. So next session will be a little bit surprise, maybe the Bhagavatam class, or maybe we'll do some nice reading from Krishna Leela. Okay, thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Great effort, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
हाय ईश्वर प्रभु, कैसे हैं ईश्वर प्रभु?
हेलो, फाइन, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
करतार बोल रहा हूँ।
हाँ, आप कैसे हो? करतार की बात होती रहती है रोज भाई।
सब गुरु की कृपा है कि इकट्ठे हो गए हम लोग।
हाँ, ये तो बिल्कुल बिल्कुल।
हाँ,
चलिए जी, let me end the meeting. Maybe you can continue with your
yes
own lines. Okay, thank you.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.